Titus Livius Patuinus, or more commonly known as Livy. Livy was born in 59 BC in Patuium, Italy. Patuium is Latin for the modern-day city of Padua, Italy. Here is a map which shows where Padua is located today. Livy spent his early life here. While Livy was in his teenage years and still living in Patuium, the city suffered greatly from the civil wars of the 40s. Social status. Not much is known about Livy's early life and family. However, we know that he definitely married and had both a son and a daughter. Based on the fact that no evidence was ever found that he had patrons, one can conclude that he was of a higher social strata. Education. Livy pursued an education based on the study of rhetoric and philosophy, but did not study in Greece like most Romans did. In his early life, Livy wrote some philosophical dialogues that did not survive. Political life. Livy played no part in politics. He also never had a military career. His work. Livy's most infamous and only surviving work is Ab Orbe Condita, or From the Founding of the City. He began to write this around the year of 29 BC. During this time, he was living in Rome, where he spent most of his life. This work encompassed the history of Rome from the foundation of the city in 386 BC to its collapse and up to 9 BC. The work consisted of 142 books, and he worked on it for most of his life. Notably, his work from the founding of the city emphasized morality, as Livy was a strong believer in moral education. He is said to have produced approximately 3 books a year. His work, Ab Orbe Condita, is his only surviving work, and much of the remaining portion has been lost. Livy was unique in that his approach to history was not in political terms, but rather in personal and moral terms. This was evident in the preface of his notorious work. I invite the reader's attention to the much more serious consideration of the kind of lives our ancestors lived, of who were the men and what the means, both in politics and war, by which Rome's power was first acquired and subsequently expanded. I would then have him trace the process of our moral decline, to watch first the sinking of the foundations of morality, as the old teaching was allowed to lapse, then the final collapse of the whole edifice, and the dark dawning of our modern day, when we can neither endure our vices nor face the remedies needed to cure them. What chiefly makes the study of history wholesome and profitable is this: that in history you have a record of the infinite variety of human experience, plainly set out for all to see. And in that record you can find for yourself and your country both examples and warnings. Livy as an author. Livy had no known patrons, as there were never any connections found between Livy and any of the famous ones, which meant that he had an ample amount of independent personal funding and was able to support himself. People's reactions. Livy was sensationally popular when the first few books of Ad Orbe Condita were published. Ad Orbe Condita's popularity lasted throughout the classical period, which was from 5th to 4th century BC. However, later on in the Middle Ages, people began to view Livy's compilation as painfully long. Many opted to read summaries of the work, which were very expensive. Therefore, interest in Livy's work subsided. Livy died in AD 17 in his home city of Patuium, although the reason for his death is not known. He was 60 years old. Interesting facts and stories. Livy had much pride in his home city of Padua and loved it very much. When he was in Rome, Livy was asked to supervise and help Claudius, as in the future Emperor Claudius, around approximately the year of 8 AD. In many of his writings, Livy's view on morality was quite evident. Like the people, his opinion was that morality could keep Rome great. Much of the notoriety of his work is due to how he not only tracked the history of Rome, but the development and transformation of the Roman character and its morality.